Hello and thanks for joining us on the Cricket Show. In today's edition, we'll show you how to bowl the leg cutter. Plus we'll go inside Western Australia's Sheffield Shield campaign. As every cricket historian knows, country towns have produced some of our greatest players. Tim Sheridan went to central New South Wales to find a school keen to prove that the bush can still yield a bumper crop.
To wine growers, the soil around the town of Mudgee is renowned for giving body and colour to the region's robust reds. But this year, the hills around the town in the central west of New South Wales have produced a vintage crop in whites. This is the Mudgee High School cricket team, champions of all schools in New South Wales.
You're obviously very proud of them.
Oh, very proud. For a small country town like Mudgee, it's a big thing.
For dads like Wayne Marskell and his son Nigel, it's been a vintage year for Mudgee High. In a school's cricket powerhouse like New South Wales, Mudgee became the first non-metropolitan school and only the third state school to represent New South Wales in the Gillette Cup National Championships of December '96.
The boys have known all along that they've had the talent to do something special this year, and I think in the back of each of their minds it's been to try to put Mudgee a little bit on the map and to let people know that cricket's alive and well west of the mountains as well as what it is on the other side.
For the cricket show, the Mudgee High boys organised an outing against an invitation Mudgee Cavaliers 11, and their willingness to participate is one of the foundations of the school's excellence. All of the Mudgee High boys play in one of the town's 4 grade teams. For an opener like Ben Reynolds, mixing it with the men from an early age exposed his batting to the blowtorch.
I started playing first grade a couple of years ago, so that has toughened me up for this. And competing in first grade. I started in reserve grade, which helped me, and just working my way up.
We've got the advantage of playing with the men. It's kind of like they hit the ball a lot harder and they're a lot more competitive, like they're stronger. And I reckon it's another main thing why we're all used to it, like at our level, and I find it's a pretty good factor playing against the men. They're all really good blokes too. They help us out all the time and that. So yeah, I reckon it has strengthened us up a lot.
Mudgee has a population of 8,000 and its high school a proud reputation. The town raised $7,000 for the trip to Adelaide, but money alone can't win games. Mudgee first had to finish in the top 3 of the state school competition, a vast knockout known as the Davidson Shield. They scraped in and then took on all the best of the various private school associations. This one is called the Dexian. How do they do it? No secrets, just bat deep, field with desperation and never give up.
Before we even made the Western Region final, our tail enders had to get 20 runs to win. And to get to the New South Wales final, we had to, again, our tail enders got us there, and it's just good having that much depth, because like we really believe that it doesn't matter how many wickets we lose early, or if we get opening bowlers or whatever get belted around, that someone else can come in and do the job.
Kick it! I think one of the differences between this side and many of the sides we've played against has been the quality of the fielding. It's really been quite superb.
Mudgee's entire sporting community is very proud of the team, a feeling that extends through the school hierarchy and into families like the Codringtons. In Adelaide, the team lost its first 2 matches to miss the semis of the national titles, but still ended up breaking 3 New South Wales records. 136 runs from 141 balls from Ben Reynolds remains a highlight.
Even though we didn't win, I think it was a tremendous experience for the whole side. We saw some very good cricketers, some cricketers who one day may go on to higher level, and we competed to the best of our ability against those cricketers, and all the players will come back better for that experience.
Mudgee has never had a male test cricketer. In 10 years' time, we may well be remembering this crop of '96 as a very good year.
Is this team like a good Mudgee red? Will it get better with age?
I'd like to think so, yeah.
His potential has been spoken of for years, and at the Adelaide Oval in January of 1991, Mark Waugh celebrates his arrival in Test cricket with an outstanding debut century.
He smashed it to the boundary. That's Mark Waugh's 100. 100 on debut, and what a magnificent innings it's been.
He finishes with 138, the 15th Australian to score 100 in his first Test match.
The leg cutter is one of the most difficult deliveries to master. But any fast bowler who can get the ball to cut off the wicket towards the slips is guaranteed to end up with a bag full of wickets. With the ball seemingly travelling straight on in its flight, the sudden deviation towards the slips after it pitches will give the batsman no end of problems.
They got him, yes, he's got him. A final breakthrough by Thompson. A beautiful delivery, just what Australia needed.
That was magnificent bowling by Thompson. A beautiful line, the ball just holding up a little bit, finding the outside edge there of the bat, and Marsh making no mistake. And have a look at them.
In order to make the ball cut, there are a number of things we've got to do. We can have the seam upright or possibly a little pointed towards slips. The important thing being, as we deliver, we roll our fingers down the inside of the ball or the rough side of the ball to make it cut. The spin imparted on the ball shall hopefully make it pitch and grab and give us our desired result moving away towards the slips. By pitching on a good length, we hope to commit the batsman to a stroke, hoping that the extra movement will get the edge and fly to a catcher. So once again, remember the seam upright or a little pointed towards slips, but really run that finger down the inside of the ball to get it to cut towards slips. If you can do it, you've got a bag full.
Don't sweat the technique. The Cricket Show and Toyota are giving you the chance to win a Toyota Paseo in our Mystery Player competition. Each test match, we'll be giving away $500 cash, plus a Toyota cricket kit worth $1,000 to one lucky person who correctly identifies the player blacked out in this picture. All you have to do is ring the corresponding number to the player you choose as your guess, and if you're right, you go into the draw for the kit and the cash. If you think that this week's mystery player is player 1, then ring 0055 60491. For player 2, ring 0055 60492. And for player 3, dial 0055 60493. Entries for this section close at the end of this test, and winners announced during our test cricket telecasts. At the end of the 5th test, all entries will go into the draw for a fantastic Toyota Paseo. The 5-speed 2-door Paseo Coupe has everything you'd expect in a sports car, including a compact disc player, sunroof, air conditioning, power windows and doors, and a sports steering wheel. All this and a powerful twin-cam 1.5-litre fuel-injected engine. So if you think you know your cricketers, then enter now and keep watching The Cricket Show.
Right, lineup. But the question is, what do we do if we win the toss? Do we bat or do we bowl? We bowl, yeah?
KFC's Hot and Spicy is back. Get it while it's hot.
In Ulverston, a tiny coastal town in Tasmania's northwest, 2 grade teams prepare for weekend battle. One man will make his debut for Devonport against the home side.
Good Bucky. Well done, Bucky.
If you didn't recognise him, you'd think this rather bulky wannabe would struggle to make any team. But Danny Buckingham might well have made it to the very top, except his hunger for fame could never quite match, well, his hunger.
So, Danny, do you think it was for the love of a good burger that you gave up the national career you should have had in national cricket?
I think it could have been, yes.
So you like your burger. What else made up a typical Buckingham diet at the time?
It's a hard one. And probably a few pizzas and so forth, I think, mainly. That was a basic diet.
At one stage, the solid right-hander weighed in at 96 kilos, but how this man could bat.
West Australian bowlers were throwing the ball up, hoping to get a catch, but Buckingham could do nothing wrong as he raced past the 150 mark.
Bucky, in his prime in the mid to late 80s, slogged every bowler in Australia over the boundary. He piled on 9 entertaining centuries, Tasmania's third most capped player, making just over 4,700 runs for the state.
I always thought Danny had the ability to actually make an Australian side, especially in the one-days, because he was a magnificent striker of the ball. Even though he had his rotund body, he also was a very, very good fielder, very safe hands, and he was quite mobile for his size.
Oh, it could have been anything, really. I mean, you look at David Boone, you know, from a point of view of Tasmanian players, that Danny could have been right up there with David.
But several times he needed a runner, his persistent weight causing persistent injuries. The fire in his belly could never quite burn the belly away.
Now with the institute in place, I think if I had the same opportunities that guys have got now, maybe being bred into that environment and being in that environment from the word go at a 17-year-old, 16, 17-year-old, and not let get into bad habits when I was about 18 or 19, I think the whole situation could have been quite different, yes.
He had the country atmosphere, I suppose, of being up the coast, and I'm not saying that horribly, I'm just saying that he's such a nice, easy-go-lucky guy. He probably didn't have that final killer instinct to actually take it another step.
As Bucky himself would cheerfully admit, his large appetite was his main downfall. But there were a few crucial disappointments in his career that also decided his fate. The first was in 1988. He was at his peak, topping the Tasmanian averages, and yet dropped from the state side. He says because he refused to move to Hobart, the centre of Tasmanian Cricket Authority.
I pretty much like to stay where I was. I thought, well, my attitude was if I wasn't good enough to play from the northwest, then obviously I didn't think I was good enough to play just because I went to the south.
Hello, what's he doing? And this is where Danny's heart lies, with wife Lynette and 12-month-old Dyson.
I think there was so much pressure on him, like, to move. You know, we were very settled here, all our families here. We both had good jobs. We had our own home, and they weren't offering us anything in Hobart. It was basically, you know, pack your bags and come down. There was no incentive there, and we just weren't prepared to take that risk.
Danny was loyal to his birthplace, the quiet industrial town of Burnie. But now he regrets not moving to Melbourne 7 years ago when a test place might have beckoned if he'd had more ambition, more self-discipline.
Personally, I get very frustrated, or I did get very frustrated with him, because he had more ability in his little finger than most people have in their whole bodies, and he wasted it.
Do you think that Danny ever could have followed a 90s style diet and regime?
No.
Buckingham is generally acknowledged as one of the most affable, generous and faithful team players around. So the final disappointment of his career was devastating. Without explanation, he was dropped for the state's first Shield final.
Certainly a little bit bitter about it, going through the bad periods through the 80s, late 80s, then into the 90s and finally to make a Shield final, then to miss out. You know, I've never felt anything like it, really. It's the biggest disappointment that I've ever had. On your lunch break?
Got the afternoon off.
Afternoon off, bonus.
Bucky continues to live and work happily and modestly in Burnie, coaching Devonport youngsters part-time. And he's the least bitter and twisted individual you're ever likely to meet. He knows he's missed some of cricket's greatest glories, but he knows how to make the most of what he has right now.
I'd like to think that the cricket side of it comes into it, but I think maybe a lot of people are going to remember me as being someone that was probably a little bit overweight, that played the game, and that'd be sad in one way if I was remembered that way, but I'd like to think that people would remember me for what I did as a player and the runs I've scored and all that.
I know it's here somewhere.
When I was just a tiny turban, my great-grandfather, Undercoat, taught me a valuable lesson. He said, Mahatma, If you want to play good, you must look very, very good. There are so many choices these days, but choosing the right ones is tricky business. At last, the right ones. What's wrong? What's wrong?
It's December 1981, and a couple of West Australians are on the rampage against the Windies. Kim Hughes scores a memorable Boxing Day 100, and then Dennis Lilly takes 7 wickets to become the leading wicket-taker of all time.
That is the record.
All those years ago, there were 7 West Australians in the Australian side. At the start of this summer, there were none. And it wasn't until Tom Moody's surprise recall to the one-day ranks that the Warriors were again represented on the international battlefield.
And caught.
Since we won our last Shield in '92 against New South Wales at the WACA, we've definitely underachieved, and I think the second half of last season we were, back on track, and we were, I suppose, reaching and achieving the goals we should have been doing for a long time.
And the Sandgropers celebrated the victory that for much of the previous 5 days had seemed out of reach.
West Australian cricket hasn't had a test regular since Jeff Marsh. There's been plenty of test occasionals, Langer, Martin, Moody and Julian, but consistency out in the middle and sympathy from the national selectors has been in short supply.
Hits him on the helmet.
The talent is undeniable. It's the attitude that's been in question. Justin Langer made an outstanding test debut, but self-doubt shackled his aspirations for a return. This season, it seems some of that anxiety is gone. Instead of overanalyzing his game, he's just getting out and scoring runs. Or should we say, scoring runs and not getting out.
Got him, yes, straight.
Damien Martin played 1 false stroke in a Sydney Test match 3 years ago and then fell into decline. If Langer was perceived as a worrier, Martin was the great natural talent who didn't apply himself. Fortunately for the Warriors, he's learned from some bitter experience.
Let's bat well, let's keep the pressure up with our bowling. Let's get back to the situation where we were talking about last year of bowling partnerships and keeping the pressure right on. But most of all, mate, let's field well. And it took the guys a little bit of time to realise probably what I was trying to push, in that there had to be a total commitment and a lot more discipline than what was being shown. I thought we were a little bit weak in the way that we got into winning positions early in the season and just didn't follow it through. And I think that was something we really had to work on. We had a very strong team meeting where everybody was very, very open.
I think Wayne sort of put the importance of the team in front of anything else, the importance of making sure that your teammate, was okay, making sure that his performance was just as important as yours. And I think basically everyone enjoyed each other's success where maybe in the past it wasn't happening like that. So, we've got a very good team feeling at the moment, and, I just hope we can carry it on for many years.
Last season's appearance in the Shield final suggests things have turned the corner, but there are still problems. The WACA wicket no longer offers bounce and zip to the fast men, and good batsmen still get out too often when they've done much of the hard work. The learning continues, but the signs are there that the Warriors are beginning to live up to their name and that proud cricket history.
I came through an era when WA was very strong and everybody was just really playing for each other, and there was a great unity and you really enjoyed each other's success, and I just think it sort of followed onto the field in our performances, and that's something that I try to instill. Hopefully we've got that, I think we've still got a long way to go, and there's a lot of ability in the side, and guys just weren't performing to their potential, and it was affecting their next step of playing for Australia as well.
kids.
Well, that completes our dig on today's show. Join us next time when we find out whether big bats are really better, call up cricket on the World Wide Web and take a special glimpse at Mike Gatting. Until then, it's bye for now.
Smoking it.